This is the QTV Nightly News coming to you from our studio on Kairaba Avenue, and I am Andy Kema. Thanks for joining us. Here are our top stories. On the sidelines of the ongoing Ecowas Parliament Joint Committee in the Gambia, Maimunatu Ibrahima, the first female speaker of the Ecowas Parliament, met President Barrow today at the State House in Banjul. As part of initiatives to promote business between the Gambia and Turkey, the GCCI on Thursday organized the first ever World Corporation Industries Forum in the Gambia. The PRO of the Gambia Armed Forces, Colonel Lamin K. Sanyang, has clarified what led to the shooting of a civilian by members of the Gambia Armed Forces at a military checkpoint around the Senegambia area on Monday. The Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education has clarified that the payment of school fees and levies in publicly funded schools is unlawful. Those were the headlines, and now look at the stories in detail. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News. On the sidelines of the ongoing Ecowas Parliament Joint Committee in the Gambia, Maimunatu Ibrahima, the first female speaker of the Ecowas Parliament, met President Barrow today at the State House in Banjul. Speaking through an interpreter, she applauded the president and his government for the warm reception accorded to them. Here is an excerpt.
Nous avons eu le privilège d'être reçus par son Excellence Monsieur Adama Barrow, président de la République.
Received by His Excellency Mr. Adama Barrow, President of the Gambia.
À qui nous avons exprimé tous nos remerciements
to whom we expressed all our thanks
l'accueil chaleureux et les facilités
for the warm welcome we've
dont nous
enjoyed
avons bénéficié depuis notre
and
arrivée.
the facilities extended to us since we came here.
Nous avons également exprimé à son Excellence Monsieur le Président de la République notre admiration pour son implication personnelle
admiration for his personal involvement
dans le maintien de la paix et de l'unité
peace and unity
dans son pays
in his country, the Gambia,
et également dans la sous-région.
and also in the sub-region.
Nous l'avons également encouragé à poursuivre les efforts
we really enjoyed His Excellency to
pour faire
continue
de
his efforts
l'intégration régionale une réalité.
So that regional integration can become a reality.
Son Excellence, Monsieur le Président de la République, nous a procuré beaucoup de conseils
His Excellency gave us a lot of useful advice,
et que nous utiliserons à bon escient.
and of course that we are going to implement as much as possible.
The ambassador and representative of the Turkish business community on Thursday urged the Gambia business community to collaborate more for the advancement of business in both countries. They were speaking at an opening ceremony of a forum organized by GCCI in the Gambia. Ansumana Sunyasi has more.
The Trans-Gambia road transport corridor is an economic and strategic link connecting the northern and
The Republic of Turkey and the Gambia enjoy strong bilateral ties which stretch across various sectors, particularly security. However, in a bid to enhance business cooperation and create a platform for networking between businesses in both countries, the GCCI partnered with Turkish business authorities to organize the first ever World Corporation Industries Forum in the Gambia. The Turkish ambassador in the Gambia, His Excellency Fahri Toka Oba, and Fatou Senghor, chairperson of the Gambia-Turkey Business Council, underscored the significance of the forum and its expected impact on business owners, especially Gambian entrepreneurs. And as they highlight the need to explore new opportunities, they encourage businesses at the forum to collaborate more for their sustainability and growth.
I hope that you will listen carefully, and I hope that it will interest you and maybe it will intrigue you. So you would like to go a further step and to have counterparts and B2Bs in the future. So this is my only hope, sir, and really thank you for coming so in big numbers. I know that there's a big interest in the Gambia among the business community for nurturing the relationship with Turkey.
The GCCI believe the event like this play a crucial role in fostering innovation, collaboration, and sustainable growth across various industries. Today's seminar brings together some of the industries today leading experts to share their knowledge, experience, and perspective on the evolving landscape of global industries.
Dennis Elevery of the AIC Solar Company in Turkey and Utku Bengizu, president of the World Cooperation Industries Forum, gave a presentation on their activities and how Turkey's businesses are faring across the continent. Additionally, they also called on investors in both countries to utilize opportunities presented by the WCI Forum.
We want to do all kinds of businesses, but there is always a problem to find right supplier and right guy. And that's why this WCI is very, very important, that because there is no middleman in the middle. So you are directly connected to the suppliers and factories. And I think last year I did recommend many of my friends to lots of different factories in Turkey. But unfortunately, some of them fell in this situation because they didn't have the right supplier and right contract in Turkey.
Firstly, Ethiopia, and Turkish investment started in sub-Saharan African countries in Ethiopia, and now $10 million, maybe 10% of total investment is just in Ethiopia. And I want to invite you to my forums, because the forums is the best way to promote your countries, to find new investors.
Turkey and the Gambia established relations over 6 decades ago and have strengthened those ties, especially since the change of government in 2017. Meanwhile, a similar forum is scheduled to take place in Turkey sometime in October this year. Answane Sonyase for KTV News.
Officials of the Trade Ministry, led by Minister Babukar Ojuf, and consultants on Wednesday presented to President Barrow the first inception report of a study commissioned by the ministry to access the Trans-Gambia road transport corridor to develop the trade facilities and infrastructure around it. Ali Sisi has more.
The Trans-Gambia road transport corridor is an economic and strategic link connecting the northern and southern parts of the Gambia and Senegal, and by extension, Ecowas countries through the corridor between Dakar and Lagos. Speaking to reporters after meeting the President, Babukar Ojuf, the Minister of Trade, said the report will culminate in what is anticipated to be the country's first special economic zone. Minister Ojuf reveals that the President gave his endorsement and his government support to the full implementation of the concept.
This is a project we are actually very excited about. So we came in here to bring His Excellency to the understanding of what we are trying to do over there, so that the economic transformation agenda he has for this country can be made a reality. It took about an hour, but he patiently went through it. And in the end, he gave us what we were all waiting for, which is the endorsement and support of his government to ensure that this investment is made. We are able to bring industrial transformation to the Gambia in the real sense and make this happen in the regions and not in the city of Banjul.
The Trade Minister says this project seeks to attract industries to invest along the corridor and produce an impactful outcome for the country.
We want to develop the corridor with a view to answering the 4 questions that my ministry has to answer all the time. Trade is about selling and buying. We import a lot into this country. We export very minimally, from agro-food processed, from small light manufacturing to everything. We're virtually exporting nothing. So for that to change, you need this kind of revolution to make it possible for industries to come in and invest in parts of that particular zone and produce, whether this is agro-food processing, whether this is fish processing, whether this is light manufacturing, with some specific incentives that will attract investment to that part of the country.
The comprehensive study will be shared with stakeholders and possible investors to better understand the areas they are likely to invest in. Reporting for QTV News, I am Ali Sise.
Following the shooting of a civilian by members of the Gambia Armed Forces at a military checkpoint around the Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara Conference Center in the early hours of Monday morning, 26 August 2024, the PRO of the Gambia Armed Forces, Colonel Lamin K. Sanyang, has clarified what led to the shooting. Here is an excerpt by Babukar Sise.
A checkpoint was mounted by our personnel from the State Guards, and up to around 2:30 a.m., a vehicle approached the checkpoint and with top speed knocked down 2 cones and still refused to stop. The guards on the checkpoints even signaled to the driver to reduce his speed or to stop, but he did not heed and nearly, in fact, ran over one of the soldiers who had to dive away to avoid a fatal collision. It was until the intervention of the cutoffs that were right after the checkpoint, who, in an attempt to disable and also to stop the vehicle, the soldiers aimed at the back tire of the vehicle in an attempt to stop the vehicle. However, the rounds from the shots that were fired ricocheted, and also the shrapnel from the rounds led to an injury of one of the vehicle occupants. And then later the vehicle had to stop, and then the occupants were apprehended. And we had to attend to them, and upon observation we realized that one of the occupants had some injuries, and first aid was provided for him by the escorts or the guards on duty. Thereafter he was transported to the Ndemban clinic. And the preliminary investigation so far have revealed that there were 5 occupants of in this vehicle, including the driver. And the other information we also gathered was that they were all driving under the influence of alcohol. In the past, we used to have a lot of hit and runs. I could remember one classical case of a woman in a wheelchair that was knocked down and the driver did not stop. So these checkpoints are things that we need. Want to indicate that under the Constitution and also the Gambia Armed Forces Act, the Republican National Guards, they are mandated under the Constitution to support the Gambia Police Force in internal security operations by mounting checkpoints, searching and also conducting of patrols wherever in this country. I have to underline that, wherever in this country. Since 2017 to date, we have been very observant to ensure that we operate in line with the Constitution and also with the rule of law. That is why from 2017 to date, His Excellency the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Adama Barrow, has never issued any order to the Chief of Defense Staff to deploy the Gambian National Army without exhausting the constitutionally mandated procedures.
We will now go for a commercial break. When we return, we have more local news stories. Do stay tuned.
Welcome to the future of transportation in the Gambia. The Bertel-Harding Highway, a 22-kilometer double carriageway, is set to revolutionize travel and connectivity in our beloved country. The Bertel-Harding Highway is transforming transportation in the Gambia with new roundabouts and vehicular overpasses. But safety must come first. Standing along the road or at roundabouts to flag down taxis creates unsafe conditions and unnecessary traffic jams. Remember, always board taxis at designated taxi garages or the garas located at major traffic points. Drivers stopping in no stopping zones will be penalized. Let's keep our roads clear and safe. Together, we can ensure a safe and efficient journey for all.
Money ak Orange Money ñoo lëkkaloo pour yombalal leen yónnee xaalis bàyyi ko Gambia dem ba Sénégal ak Q Money Wallet looy toog di xaar dawal léegi nga ubbi Q Money account pour nga mun a door di yónnee xaalis sa xarit ak sa mbokk yi jaarale ko Orange Money Sénégal léegi pour am si lu leer mun nga call Q Money customer care si 133 Q Money suñu kalpe lii dafa ànd ak sarta yuñ tëral.
Welcome back, and this is QTV News. In a press release issued on the 20th of August, the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education has clarified that the payment of school fees and levies in publicly funded schools is unlawful. This comes after the ministry was made aware that certain publicly funded schools were charging parents. Amadou Tamba tells us more.
The Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education has issued a stern warning to those schools violating the regulations, which forbid government-subsidized grant-aided schools and some recognized madrasas from collecting any kind of fees. Luis Moses Mendy is the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education.
In our school setup, we have structures such as SMCs, PTAs, mothers clubs, and so on and so forth. If a school like Newstrat, for example, their PTA decides as a PTA, as a family, that they want the school to conduct studies, extra studies for their students, and they are willing to pay. That is an initiative that is coming from the parents. But, like we said, that initiative must be brought to the attention of the regional director under which that school falls. And the regional director will share with management for us to look at the issues they are in before we give approval for that school to continue collecting that.
The ministry calls on all schools involved to stop this immediately. Here is PS Mendy again.
We are aware that there are some schools where parents have these initiatives for teachers to teach their children even outside the normal working hours. All this is geared for the well-being and the welfare of the students, because they want their students to celebrate 9 A's, 9 B's, or whatever. That's the kind of thing that we have agreed. But for a school just to levy, a public school, and again a public school, to levy students of any charges that are not approved by the regional director or the management of the ministry, that is not acceptable. And if any school is found doing that, that school is doing it at its detriment, because the required regulations would apply in that case.
According to the MOPSI permanent secretary, the government has spent a lot of money funding schools, and as such, they are not allowed to charge fees.
You asked me a question earlier on where you required me to name schools. This time I'm refusing to name schools. I will not name the schools, but we have gotten word at least from 1 or 2 schools that were levying students for admission. Admission is free. Government is spending millions, hundreds of millions to support teaching and learning in all this. SIG alone, government is spending over $350 million. That is not small money. And it's doing that against the payment of fees and levies.
PS Mendy says MOPSI does not want parents to endure challenges in paying fees for their children, especially when they are not required to do so. The ministry's warning to schools is to comply with the regulations and return to the parents any money collected from them. For QTV News, Amadou Tamba.
In their quest to save lives at sea, the government of the Gambia, through the Gambia Maritime Administration, on Thursday presented over 1,000 pieces of fishing safety gear to the National Fishermen's Association of the Gambia. Usman Jata reports.
The Gambia Maritime Administration is focused on the development of the maritime industry and to ensure safety of navigation in Gambian waters and the preservation of the maritime environment, amongst others. In fulfillment of its mandate, the institution presented 500 life jackets, headlights, electric fish net sights, and knives to the National Fishermen's Association of the Gambia. The fishing safety gear are to be distributed to boat operators in provincial landing sites. Karamo Bakari Jani is the Director General of the Gambia Maritime Administration.
Government desire that nobody should die at sea. If nobody should die at sea, all of us have to live to our responsibilities and expectations. And when we say government, we are the government, the people. It's not those at the State House or at the ministries. The government is the people. Therefore, these things we procured is for our local fishermen in our rivers. This is the first phase Next year we'll see how we can expand it.
In March 2024, the Gambia Maritime Administration embarked on a nationwide tour of fishing landing sites. During this countrywide engagement, rural fishermen raised concerns on the Maritime Administration about inadequate fishing safety equipment. Ibrahima Job is the Director of Maritime Safety Administration at the Gambia Maritime Administration.
These life jackets are very, very important to save your life at sea. But you have to take good care of them. Don't expose them to sunlight, or you place them where they will be moist. You understand? You should take good care of them so that they will save you. Because it will be your last hope or your last resort, when you are in distress.
Wearing a life jacket can significantly reduce the risk of drowning in water-related activities such as boating, fishing, swimming, and kayaking. Mamadou B. Diba, President of the National Fishing Association, expressed gratitude to the Gambia Maritime Administration for the donation, emphasizing the significance of safety gear. I called on my fellow fishermen to wear life jackets even if you can swim. The sea does not have branches like trees. Only a life jacket can help you during accidents. Mas Aksigay is the chairman of the board of directors for the Gambia Maritime Administration. He urges the National Fishermen's Association to make good use of the donated items.
We may not be able to do all, but at the same time, we will do our quota. And because of that, such materials has been procured to make sure you make use of it in your own working area. Of course, we will expect that the association will share it properly.
In 2022, the Maritime Administration designed a 5-year strategic plan which seeks to engage in public sensitization about the industry's work, sharing experiences and knowledge about the operational modalities of the GMA. Osman Jata, reporting for QTV News.
The Institute for Human Rights and Development in Africa, IHRDA, and Women in Liberation and Leadership will and partners commenced 2 days training on investigation and prosecution for police, prosecutors and officials from the National Action for Legal Aid. Lolly M. Kamara attended and filed this report.
This 2-day training is supported by Freedom House, a not-for-profit organization best known for political advocacy surrounding issues of democracy, political freedom, and human rights. The training will provide participants with the skills to navigate through the human rights-based approach to SGBV, the domestic legal system on SGBV, investigating SGBV and referral pathways on SGBV. Amin Jai, the Director of Finance and Administration at IHRDA, says the organization is working towards healing, rebuilding and addressing deep-rooted SGBV-related issues in the country. And the training is a key step towards ensuring the dignity and security of every individual in our society, especially women and girls.
The Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission, TRRC, has set light on the atrocities committed, particularly the widespread and systematic use of sexual violence as a tool of oppression. Now it is our collective responsibility to act on these findings, bringing justice to victims and ensuring such violations are never repeated, as stated in the TRRC slogan, Never Again.
Fatoumata Tal Saho from the National Agency for Legal Aid and Corporal Ibrahima Fofana of the Gambia Police Force both expressed delight in taking part in the training.
I just want to commend the organizers of this workshop for this great initiative, and also this workshop is timely. We're also expecting to have a lot to learn from it, especially we at the National Agency for Legal Aid. We don't usually have this opportunity to learn about the victims of sexual and gender-based violence, and I'm sure this would be a great one.
We are expecting many things here, like, it will help us to do our work. And from here, the little knowledge that we get here, if we go back to our offices, we will also sit, and discuss among our colleagues, to tell them or to teach them about the importance, of protecting the girls from, gender-based violences.
Studies have shown that sexual and gender-based violence is widespread in the Gambia, with many cases going unreported and survivors facing social stigma and barriers to accessing support and justice. Human rights advocates have called on the government and society to address and combat SGBV through education, prevention and support services for survivors. Organizers say the training will help police investigators investigate SGBV cases in line with domestic and international standards and best practice. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
Well, that's all we have for you in this bulletin. Join us at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Thanks for watching.